identify myself as a leader, a facilitator, and an advocate for social justice, healing, and liberation. Another really important part of my identity and how I think about myself is I'm the oldest daughter of refugee and immigrant Hmong parents. I grew up really supporting my family, navigating a lot of different systems in the United States that were really unfamiliar to them. And these experiences led me to a strong sense of social justice and equity and led me to dedicating my life towards undoing systems of oppression. One of the things that I'm really passionate about right now and really passionate about working on is my platform called the Healing Timelines Project, which
Okay.
I launched in 2023. And the goal that I have with that project is to offer trauma informed resources and a justice lens to spirituality and offering healing resources to help Hmong descendants overcome multi generational pattern and thrive. So I loved that you called to this social justice origin stories because it made me look back and reflect on like, how did I get here?
Mm,
Never wildest dreams did I think that I would be on Instagram offering resources to folks around intergenerational trauma and healing, and also doing that in my special way, which is like offering a justice lens to our healing. A lot of that journey started in undergrad. At the time, probably would not have identified myself as a student organizer. I didn't even have the language for that. All I knew was that what happened to me when I was an undergrad was that I was harassed while walking home from campus. And it was one of those scary, worst nightmare kind of scenarios where a couple of friends and I had just finished studying at the library. It was late at night and I was walking home and a truck full of white boys pulled up to us. Right. And at the time, I wasn't scared. I actually even approached the vehicle thinking, like, oh, here are some nice college students. They're probably lost. Let me help give them some directions. That's probably why they pulled over. Hey, excuse me. And I went over to their truck and said, yeah, can I help you? And they started actually making some lewd remarks at me about my breasts. And then they started mocking me. I think they had targeted me and my friends because I was a group of international students. We all were Asian. And it made me realize that they were making those remarks and mocking and making a fake Asian accent because they had targeted me for my identity. They really was like, "Oh, here's this unsuspecting group of Asians. They probably are all international students. They don't speak English very well." It was an opportunity to just maybe humiliate us or make fun of us, and for their own entertainment.
for their own
Um,
entertainment, yeah.
yep. And when I realized that they had targeted me based on my race and my gender, the first thing was I got pissed. I cussed at them. And I think they were taken aback. Oh, wait, this chick understands English. She's cussing at us. And so they sped off and then turned their truck around. And I was like, holy crap, this is where I'm going to get harmed. I just cussed out these white guys. They're totally going to harm me. Thankfully, I wasn't harmed, but they did throw like some firecrackers at us. I went back to my apartment and just bawled my eyes out. I was with a group of friends. They were all international students and they didn't really understand the social political context of what just happened. And I did. I knew that I had been targeted because of my gender and my race. And I felt so dehumanized after that exchange. And it changed my worldview because up until that point, I think I would have believed that the United States was a meritocracy. Like my parents were refugees and America was supposed to be the land of opportunity. In school, I was a good student and really rewarded for my academic achievements. My teachers were really encouraging. And I was a first generation college student. So I was like, this is it. My parents said this is the land of opportunity. They said if you work hard in school, you're going to get into college and all of these opportunities are going to open up for you. And so up until that point, I really felt as a young person, I made it. I did what I was supposed to and I made it and I'm here and I'm just as accomplished and I deserve to be on this college campus just like anybody else. I was so devastated when that happened. And I went to my mentor, Alex Hines. He was one of the few, if not only the only Black man on campus who was also the director of the Inclusion Diversity Office. And I told him about my experience. Um, and he was really sympathetic. And then he also told me that my story was really common, that this had happened on campus before, that students of color had experienced harassment, not only on campus, but also in the broader community. And I also quickly found out that even though I felt so super harmed by this experience, it had changed my life, that there was no recourse, no way to heal or even address this. I considered this a hate crime because I was like, I knew I was targeted because of my gender and my race. And under federal and criminal definitions, this was not considered a hate crime. Like I had went through that conversation with campus security. I went through that conversation with Mr. Hines and other campus departments, and there was nothing to do. And I felt so gaslit by this. I was
Mm,
like, you're in my bones. I knew that something terrible had happened, but the university and the law was telling me nothing terrible had happened under their definitions. And so therefore nothing could be done. And that really set the stage for me. I had other students then come to me and telling about their experiences as well. They were being told to go back to their country while they were shopping. There were LGBTQ students telling me that they were being harassed in their dorms, like the F word was being written onto their whiteboards. Their dorms were being targeted essentially. And this then led me into organizing, even though I didn't know it at the time. I was like, I'm a coordinator. I'm just coordinating all of these things and trying to amplify it. And while I was on campus, there was already a group of LGBTQ students on organizing for a safe space, which in I think the LGBTQ space means a really specific thing, right? A safe space parameters and what does that mean? What does it mean to support a safe space was really specific. And I joined to support that movement. I think at the time I didn't really understand what safe space meant. In an LGBTQ context, I identify as like heterosexual, cis. I didn't quite understand what that meant, but I knew that between the LGBTQ students and students of color and students who really just spoke any other language, we didn't feel like we belonged. We didn't feel
mm,
like the climate was creating a space where we felt like we could be our authentic selves. And we organized a protest during our school's reaccreditation week. So for folks who are familiar with the higher education space, accreditation is like essentially an association comes to your school and says, yes, this is a legitimate institution. They have the authority to issue out diplomas and degrees and all that stuff. And during our school's reaccreditation week, they were getting reaccredited. And we asked all these student clubs on campus to submit letters of support for a safe space, for the creation of a safe space on campus. And one of the things I did was like compile a ton of research and data and on students of color and their sense of belonging. And then we submitted all of our reports and letters to the university leaders and also spoke in front of our university student government. And then we were like loud and visible when all these accreditation professionals were like walking through. They could see that we were trying to stage a protest. There were students who were sleeping out the campus lawn. And it was such an incredible experience for me. Ultimately, our school was reaccredited, but there were really strong recommendations for university leadership to work on improving campus climate for LGBTQ students and students of color. Um, and in the following years, there was a DEI summit for students to discuss their experiences on campus. And that meant eventually we were allocated a space on campus, which we called the Knowledge, Empowerment, Advocacy, and Pluralism Center. It was a mouthful, but we shortened it to Keep Center. And we also got institutional commitment to create a VP of DEI and an ethnic studies department for the school. It's been amazing because I wasn't around when some of this stuff happened because the 4-year cycle, I think it's easy for universities leaders to wait for students to cycle out. But it was amazing to me to look back at this. This was my origin story. This got me into social justice advocacy work. It got me into organizing work. And I still get to hear stories about the progress that the university is making because I run into alumni or staff who still work at the university. And so it's been amazing. There's still more work to be done, I think, but that's the beginnings of my story.